I cannot pinpoint the moment when my descent into madness began. It was not a singular event, but the culmination of years spent delving into forbidden texts, piecing together fragments of knowledge that mortals were never meant to possess. I, Dr. Leopold Yates, now stand on the edge of this final revelation, looking back at the monstrous path that has brought me here. As I sit beneath the cold stars, writing these last words, I realize how little time remains before the inevitable end. It began in the quiet, musty aisles of the British Museum, where I had long been an unassuming scholar of ancient civilizations, with a focus on the esoteric and obscure. My obsession was Sumerian mythology, particularly the figure of Lilith, a creature that eluded most records, mentioned only in fragments, her image warped by millennia of mistranslations and forgotten myths. Though more prominent in later texts, Lilith's true origins lay in the earliest civilizations, long before she was cast as a demon or succubus in popular folklore. She was not a mere femme fatale, but something far older and far more dangerous. My quest for her true form began in earnest when I stumbled upon an artifact labeled Tablets of an Unknown Origin. The curator seemed hesitant to give me access, muttering something about curses and ill omens, but I dismissed it. I was driven by curiosity, a thirst for knowledge that blinded me to the warnings that would soon prove prescient. The Liltu tablets, as I later came to call them, were inscribed with a forgotten dialect of Akkadian, one that spoke of Lilith as more than a demon. She was a cosmic force, older than the gods themselves, a being who existed in the void between stars, beyond the reach of time and light. The tablets painted her not as a seductive woman, but as a presence that devoured the essence of life itself, a bringer of silence and stillness. The translation took months of painstaking work, but with each word I uncovered, I felt as though I were unraveling the very fabric of reality. The more I read, the more it became clear that Lilith's nature had been misunderstood through the ages. She was not bound by the laws of this world. Her dominion extended into the heavens, into the empty spaces where no light could penetrate. She was a creature of night and nothingness, a force of entropy. Once the Liltu tablets had revealed Lilith's true nature, I found myself scouring occult libraries and forbidden manuscripts, seeking further understanding of what I had uncovered. The texts I found were cryptic, but they all spoke of Lilith as a cosmic devourer, a being who had existed before creation, who had watched as the stars were born and would remain long after they had died. I had read accounts of ancient summoning rituals, spells intended to call upon dark forces, but I had never taken such things seriously. Now, I wasn't so sure. One particular manuscript hinted at a ritual that could open a gateway between worlds, allowing one to communicate with beings that resided beyond the material plane. The instructions were complex, and the warnings dire. Those who attempted the ritual would invite not only madness but utter destruction. Yet, the more I learned, the more I felt compelled to see this ritual through. The night skies seemed different to me now, strange, as if they held a secret that was just beyond my reach. The astronomical alignment required for the ritual was approaching, a rare event that would occur within days. According to the manuscript, this alignment would thin the veil between worlds, making it possible to glimpse the true form of Lilith. I knew I was treading dangerous ground, but the lure of forbidden knowledge had me in its grip. There was no turning back. I arrived at the site of the ruins near the ancient city of Ur, deep in the Mesopotamian desert. The location had been noted in the texts, a place where, in ancient times, rituals to Lilith had been performed. It was said that these ruins marked one of the places where Lilith had descended to earth, bringing with her the silence of the void. The desert air was suffocating, but there was a stillness in it that unnerved me. As I set up camp near the crumbling stone remnants of the old temple, I could feel an invisible weight pressing down on me. I had expected to feel excitement, but instead, a cold dread gnawed at the edges of my mind. The ritual was set to begin at midnight, when the stars would be in perfect alignment. I had everything I needed, the arcane words, the symbols drawn in the dust of ages past. But as the hour approached, I began to question my sanity. The sky darkened as the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, and the stars began to reveal themselves one by one. They twinkled in patterns that seemed almost familiar, as though they were constellations I had known once, long ago, in another life. I could feel the pulse of the earth beneath my feet, an ancient rhythm that matched the beating of my heart. I began the incantation, my voice steady despite the fear creeping through my veins. The words felt wrong in my mouth, as if they belonged to a tongue not meant for human use. The air around me thickened, and I could sense something stirring in the darkness beyond my small circle of light. It was then that the sky seemed to split open above me, and the stars themselves began to shimmer with an unnatural light. A crack appeared in the fabric of the night, and from it, a presence emerged, something vast and unknowable. I could not see it clearly, for it did not exist in a form my eyes could comprehend, but I felt its gaze upon me. It was Lilith, the ancient being I had summoned, and her presence filled the sky. She was not a woman, not the seductress of legend, but a thing of darkness, a creature whose form was constantly shifting, stretching, and collapsing into itself. Her limbs extended into the farthest reaches of the horizon, her face a black void that consumed all light. There were no eyes, no mouth, just a featureless expanse of nothingness that filled me with a terror I cannot describe. The wind ceased, the insects fell silent, and the world around me seemed to vanish. I stood alone in the presence of a being far older than this world, far older than the stars that glittered above. She was death incarnate, the end of all things. Her mere existence threatened to unravel the universe. I could feel my body weakening as though the life were being drained from me, not in a physical sense, but something far deeper. My soul, my very essence, was being drawn toward her, pulled into the blackness of her form. I tried to resist, but it was impossible. The force was too strong. She had me in her grasp, and I knew there was no escape. As I stood frozen, unable to move, I heard her voice, not with my ears, but inside my mind. It was a low hum, a vibration that seemed to resonate with the very core of my being. She spoke in words I could not fully understand, but the meaning was clear. She offered me something, a release from the burdens of existence, an end to the pain and suffering of life. She promised me oblivion, a state of nothingness where time and space no longer mattered, where I would be free from all that I had ever known. For a moment, I was tempted. The idea of ceasing to exist, of being absorbed into the void, was strangely comforting. I could feel the weight of my mortality lifting, the struggles of life fading into insignificance. All I had to do was surrender to her, let myself be consumed by the endless darkness that surrounded her. But then something inside me rebelled. I thought of the world I would leave behind, of the people I had known, the lives I had touched. I thought of the knowledge I had sought for so long, the mysteries I had dedicated my life to unraveling. Was this really how it would end? Was this what I had been searching for all these years? I struggled against the pull, fighting to regain control of my mind, my body. It was a losing battle, but I fought nonetheless. I could feel her anger, her frustration, as I resisted her. The darkness around me seemed to grow heavier, more oppressive, but I refused to give in. Then, in a moment of clarity, I understood. Lilith was not offering me oblivion out of kindness or mercy. She was a predator, a cosmic being that fed on the very essence of life itself. She had existed for eons, feeding on the souls of those foolish enough to summon her, drawing strength from their dissolution into nothingness. She was not a demon or a goddess, but something far worse, a force of nature, an embodiment of entropy. The myths and legends that had grown up around her were mere shadows of the truth, attempts to explain something that was beyond human comprehension. Lilith was not a creature of this world, not even of this universe. She was a remnant of something older, something that had existed long before the stars had ever formed, and she would remain long after they had all burned out. I was nothing to her, a mere speck of dust in the vastness of her existence. My life, my struggles, my desires, they were all meaningless in the face of her eternal hunger. And yet, I had called her forth, thinking I could learn from her, thinking I could grasp the knowledge of the cosmos. I had been a fool. Now, as I sit beneath the stars, my mind unraveling, I write these final words, knowing that they will soon be consumed by the same darkness that has taken me. Lilith's true nature is beyond comprehension, and to glimpse it is to invite madness. She is the end of all things, the queen of nightfall, the bringer of silence. And soon, I too will join her in that endless void.